Hello, welcome to NewPod. Imagine for a moment being rejected by everyone, forced to live on the edge of society, all because of an incurable illness. This was the reality of leprosy in biblical times. A total exclusion. Welcome to NewPod for our 22nd episode.
Exactly, A. This episode adds another story to our Christian collection. We're continuing our series on Jesus' miracles. These are powerful stories that still speak to us today.
Yes, this is the 22nd episode in our series. It comes straight from Christian tradition, mostly from the New Testament and writings of early Christians.
This is episode 22 out of 100. We suggest you listen to it like a Bible story, then follow it with some quiet reflection. It should take about 12 to 18 minutes.
The main Bible passage we'll explore. It's in Matthew chapter 8, verses 1 to 4, Mark chapter 1, verses 40 to 45, and Luke chapter 5, verses 12 to 16. These three similar stories give us a full picture of what happened.
Here's a tip for our listeners. Read the whole passage before or after listening. Then pick one or two verses that really speak to you. It's a great way to think more deeply.
Our goal for this episode is to tell the story of the healed leper. We'll place it within the bigger picture of the Bible. We'll talk about important ideas like Jesus' kindness, also faith, healing, and signs of God's kingdom.
We really want to make this story come alive. We'll shine a light on its human and spiritual lessons. And most importantly, show how it can connect with us, today's listeners. To do that, we'll start with a human question, then explore the background, tell the story, look at the key moment, and finally, see its spiritual meaning and how to use it in our lives.
To start our story, let's ask ourselves, what does the tale of the man who was healed tell us? Does it teach us about our choices, our fears, or what we hope for? What about how we connect with God? It's a very personal question.
That's right. This story isn't just about something that happened long ago. It shows us how people still feel today. It talks about feeling a little weak sometimes, and also about having lots of hope.
Before we jump into the story, it's good to understand what was happening. We have someone who is very sick, some people watching, a special request from the sick man, and then Jesus did something wonderful.
Yes, it's helpful to know what happened right before this part. We'll meet the main people, learn what they wanted, where they were, and how everything started. This makes the story exciting without slowing it down.
Now, let's tell the story of the man who was healed, like it's happening right now. At the very beginning, there was a man who had leprosy. This was a sickness that meant he couldn't be with his family or go to church.
That was a huge problem for him. But even with all that, this man walked right up to Jesus. That was very brave, because people usually stayed far away. He showed how much he believed and asked so humbly, "Lord, if you wanna, you can make me clean."
And then, something amazing happened. Jesus felt so much kindness in his heart. He reached out his hand and touched the man. Back then, no one would ever touch someone with leprosy because they thought it would make them sick too.
Yes, and right away, the man was completely clean. Jesus told him not to tell anyone yet. Instead, he should go show himself to the priest and make the special offering that God's old rules asked for.
This story is full of big differences. We see the man's faith against society's fear. Jesus offered a gift, but others turned away. The leper waited, and then the healing came true.
The most important moment is when Jesus meets and touches the man. That's when everything changes completely. What big risks do the people take at that time?
The leper risks everything by coming near. Jesus risks becoming unclean and breaking the rules. But they both find God's endless kindness. And they find the power of faith and love inside themselves.
The change that happens is a full healing. It's not just his body, but his whole life and spirit. And what happens next is bigger than just one person's story. The leper tells everyone the good news. And Jesus can't openly go into towns anymore.
To understand this better, this miracle is more than just a body healing. It's a sign that gives the person back their worth. And it shows who Jesus is, the Messiah sent by God.
We can look at this in three main ways. First, the human side, the fear of being left out, the strong wish to be healed, and the bravery to go to Jesus. Second, the spiritual side, what the story shows us about God's presence, his call, his fairness, and his kindness.
And third, the Bible side. This story gets ready for, continues, and finishes a part of God's rescue plan. It shows that God's special kingdom is already here. It brings healing and makes things new again. It's important not to read it too simply. We should respect all the feelings in the story.
For us today, this story makes us think about how we deal with sadness, how we ask for help, and how we can show kindness to people around us. How do we act when someone is left out?
We can ask ourselves if something like this is happening in our own lives. What needs a decision or a change? Maybe we can choose one simple, kind thing to do this week to show we care.
And of course, we can read the story again by ourselves. We can think about Jesus' touch and the man's faith. It's an invitation to think and to act.
So, to wrap things up, the story of the man who was healed reminds us of something important. Even when we have to make big decisions, or when we feel weak, or when everything is changing, a bigger story is happening. It's the story of God's kingdom. Jesus offers healing, makes things new again, and gives us worth.
That's a wonderful truth to remember. Next week, we'll continue our journey with a brand new episode, number 23. We'll explore more amazing things about our faith.
To finish, let's say a prayer together. Lord, please open our minds to your word. Through the story of the man who was healed, help us see our own struggles. Help us to hear your call. And help us move forward with more truth, trust, and faith. Amen.
And for everyone listening, here's a question for the week. What part of the story about the man who was healed connects with your life right now? Take some time to think about it.
Thanks for listening. Don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss our next episodes. And please share this podcast with anyone you think might enjoy it. See you soon on NewPod.